What's up, guys? Finally got the 370Z back to the house, as you saw in my previous video. But I just want to give you a quick rundown of the list of modifications that's on this car. This is not a total list, just what I know of. But like I said, I got the car here to the house the other night. It's dirty. I need to give it a bath and get it cleaned up. But yeah, as far as the parts go, we've got a single precision turbo on this. We've got HKS coilovers, these two-piece BC forged wheels. We've got camber correction kit on this. There is an exhaust on this. I'm not exactly sure what the exhaust is yet. I need to get under there and take a look and see. There's also a tuner on this car. Has two stages, one for 93 and one for E85. We've got these carbon fiber fenders on this. The one on the left hand side has a bit of damage to it. It's got a little spider crack here. I'm assuming this is whenever the front bumper was ripped off. There's a little bit of work that needs to be done here, getting this fender reattached properly and getting this headlight and everything to line up to the hood. Beyond that, I'm not exactly sure what else has been done to this car. I'm gonna try to get this thing cleaned up and put back into the garage before I leave town. I'm getting ready to go out of town on Monday, but first I need to finish up Alex's car. We got the motor and transmission back in. We got several of the parts back on. I still need to finish bolting up one of the motor mounts, get the battery back in, the air box, get a new belt and hoses on this thing, put the axles back in, the catalytic converter, fill up all the fluids, as well as hook up a couple more of the coolant lines and some of the wiring harness. So I'm gonna start working on that today. Hopefully I can get this thing all buttoned up so I can go ahead and get this out of the garage. Like I said, right now I've got several projects going on. Like I said, I'm going out of town next week for my parents' anniversary. I also have a lot of work to get done on my next Airbnb. The tent that I'm using for a glamping tent should be coming in a couple weeks. So I've got to get ditches dug, water lines and sewer lines, electrical ran, get a platform built, hopefully in time for whenever that tent arrives to be able to start setting that up. So I'll keep you posted on all that. But first, let's get started on getting Alex's car buttoned up so we can get it out of the garage and move on to the other projects. Alright guys, I finished hooking up the coolant lines, some more of the wiring harness, put in the air box, got the upper radiator hose on, started to put the lower radiator hose on. It's connected at the thermostat housing. I did get the motor mount bolts in. Pretty much everything up top here is pretty much now done except for the battery. And an air intake tube and a couple other little things, but I'm leaving those out for now so I can get to the dipstick on the transmission. No, I'm gonna have to put some oil back into that, but first I need to go underneath the car, put in the axles, connect the lower radiator hose so I can start getting fluids back in this thing. I still need to put on the catalytic converter and nose gaskets. Like I mentioned in a couple videos before, this exhaust manifold has 4 studs on it, where the previous one had 2 studs and 2 bolts. So I'm going to need to find an extra couple nuts or take out 2 of these studs so I can reuse the bolts. Then I can put in the cat and hook up the oxygen sensor. And then we should be getting close to be able to put on the belts and putting in the fluids and getting this thing back on the road. All right, guys, I got the lower radiator hose connected. Got the shift cable reconnected, as well as a couple bolts on the lower side of the battery tray. There was one more bolt on the bottom side of the motor here that I needed to bolt up to the transmission, and this cover here as well, and a couple of little clips and things. But now I'm gonna get ready to go ahead and take off the oil filter, put a new oil filter on here. But when I was at the auto parts store yesterday, I forgot to pick up a drain plug gasket. As you can see, this one is still leaking a bit, but I need to go ahead and go get that and get the rest of the oil out of this thing so I can fill it up. So I'm gonna head to the auto parts store now. Just running through the car wash real quick here, guys. Getting the car ready. Going to Boston on Monday for my parents' wedding anniversary. So got a lot of stuff to do before then. But yeah, just trying to get everything done before we get ready to go out of town. Got another errand to run, so stopping at Walmart, then I'll pick up the oil drain plug gasket. I just got water for the house, and I picked up one of these Celsius Grape Rush. I'm gonna try this thing out. I just hear a lot of people talking about this. I'm just curious. I've seen that the stock is done really well. It looks like the company's really growing, so I'm just gonna try this out and see how this tastes. Wow, that really is really good. Man, very tasty. Very great flavor. Yeah, I'm not sure. It's supposed to provide like extra energy. Just a little tired this afternoon, but yeah, maybe this little pick-me-up will help me finish getting this car put back together. While I was at the auto parts store, I went ahead and picked up this windshield wiper for the rear window on my Infiniti. I've never replaced this one. In the 4 years I've had my vehicle, normally with front windshield wipers, I normally replace those about every 6 to 9 months, just depending on how worn they are. But I'm going to go ahead and put this one on here now. So I just popped this blade off. There's a little notch here on this wiper arm, which makes it a little difficult just to pull this thing off, but it just needs a little bit of force, and then it'll pop right off there. Now we're going to put the new blade on. And there we go. Get this thing lined up in the proper position to where it was previously. Put our nut back on. Pop our cover back on, and that's it. got the axles back in, got pretty much everything buttoned up underneath. I was just getting ready to set down the car, and the lift was not going down on the far side. I just called the tech that installed this lift. He said it's most likely this cable here that releases the locks was not pulling out. So I'm getting ready to take off this cover here, check things out. Sounds like these cables might need a little bit of adjustment from time to time. So I'm going to try to fix that now. So I'm going to get the car set down and start filling it up with fluids. So I got the cover off. Looks like this cable is got some slack in it. So I just need to loosen up these couple nuts here and most likely just pull the slack out of this cable, which should fix this issue. All right, guys, I got most everything done here. Got the air intake back on, all the rest of the coolant lines and vacuum lines hooked up. I've got the catalytic converter on. I just need to bolt it from the bottom side, unplug the lower O2 sensor, and put the battery back in. But I'm waiting on that because I need to get a different funnel so I can fill the transmission and the power steering fluid, and then put on the serpentine belt, and that should wrap it up for this. So hopefully everything starts. I'm gonna wrap that up in the morning. I'll bring you an update on that. But until next time, guys, you know what to do. Be sure to hit the like button, be sure to subscribe, and until next time, stay tuned. I hope you have a great day.